Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Digital Mittelstand. Today I have Lukas Zechel from BITROAD, and Lukas is not only my fellow alumni from HHL, but also a partner of me from Leipzig Marathon Relay Race. He is the founder and managing director of BITROAD GmbH, and welcome Lukas, it's nice having you here.
Thank you, Jan, for having me and for the opportunity to talk about the German Mittelstand. I'm really looking forward to have the session together.
Yeah, me too. Totally excited. And can you please shortly introduce yourself and the BITROAD to us?
Absolutely. So starting with BITROAD, BITROAD is a strategy consulting firm focusing exactly on the topic we have today on the German Mittelstand. And many of our customers are more in the construction, in the manufacturing area. Most of them hidden champions that most of us don't know. But they have currently the biggest potential to transform themselves and to defend their market position they build up for many years and be market leader. And yeah, we help them to sustain this position. And for myself, I got a business background, studied economics at HHL together, more or less. Yeah. And I come more from the new business side, from startups, from venture capital, and I support these companies in Mittelstand to grow their business and to see the opportunities in new business in the Mittelstand.
Yeah, I was so happy that our roads crossed once more in the topic of not only digitalization, but also digitalization in Mittelstand. And I remember during one of our conversations, you mentioned a very good phrase like digital purpose. Can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, we understand digital purpose as one of the three main pillars that we build our consulting strategy on. On the other side, we have digital readiness. So how far am I? And the digital strategy. And the third part of it is the digital purpose. And this is exactly why am I doing digitalization? I'm not just doing digitalization because it's cool or it's just there and people say I should do it. It fulfills a purpose. And many companies don't know their purpose by phrase, but they have it. The reason why they exist, their existence supports some part of a society or a value chain. And their digital purpose is in the end the reason why they do digitalization and what they want to reach with it. And this is such an important cornerstone for digitalization because you have, during your digital transformation, many situations where you just don't know, shall I go left or shall I go right? I just have no idea. And in this case, digital purpose helps to look up and see, okay, is the left way or the right way better fitting the direction I want to go, and helps you to keep up to speed and not go back, analyze, come up with some theory that might support one of the ways. It just increases speed and focus on the target I want to reach.
Yeah, I feel like without the digital purpose, it's like a running race, as we are both runners. So it's a running race without the finish line. So you run, but you never know, or maybe the finish line is there, but the course is not well marked. So I think it's a great point. As far as I understand, so digital purpose gives us a direction, right?
Absolutely. It's the direction of the digitalization for each and every company on its own. So each digital purpose is different. And as I said, it's combined with your strategy. Your strategy follows the purpose and with your digital readiness level. So each and every firm has a certain readiness level that it has right now. And I always use the example, if I have a low digital readiness level and I'm full of cash because the last years were brilliant and I buy a Berlin startup, it will fail because my company and the digital readiness level of everything is not just ready to cope with these cool and going forward people, and there are many examples, highly likely that it's going to fail, even though I have the cash to buy it in.
Yeah, I think that's a good example, and I'm glad that you mentioned the digital readiness. I know that your company provides also the digital readiness check. What value it brings to the Mittelstand? So is it like an MRT that a doctor does, or how does this work?
You could compare it to that, but in the end, as I said, you need to have a certain readiness level to do one action at a time. If I want to do something that I'm not ready for, I'm going to waste, at the one hand, a lot of money, and on the other hand, a lot of time. And another example that describes the digital readiness level, we look at separate parts of the company. We look at culture, we look at strategy, we look at processes, people, many things. But taking the example of an online shop, if I don't have a certain readiness level in my data, I can't provide real-time product information in my shop. Because where's the information coming from? If my data back is not ready. And what we see with many Mittelstand companies that grew their infrastructure for many years, there is data, but it's not well structured. And there's no organization keeping data clean and up to date. And this is one of the major fields where a certain readiness level is required to build up good digital products and services.
And I remember one of our business partners said, when we get a digitalization project, first and probably the most important thing we do is the cleaning data, structuring the data, even before we could start with the project. Because if you don't have a proper data infrastructure, then the data flow will be hindered for the digitalization project. And you mentioned that with the digital readiness check, you make the current picture and where we are in terms of our strategy. So then first the digital purpose, and with the digital strategy, with the help of the digital readiness check, and then the action, of course. Otherwise, it will be, as you said, I see a lot of projects, digitalization projects, just being done for the sake of digitalization, and it ends up, unfortunately, failing. So it's good to know where you are, and only then you can know what to do next. And one step at a time, you said. It's, I think, also very important.
Yeah, and to come back to the readiness check, we have to do it over and over to see, did we increase? Are we now ready for the next level? And we need to adapt our strategy accordingly, while keeping our digital purpose always in mind. So we are running in that direction, do readiness checks over and over again to see, are we still on track, as you said, with the run? Are we still on the way to our finish line? And adjust the strategy. And you need to do it in certain periods. We recommend do such a check every half a year, and then check whether our strategy is still right. And this is the third thing we say, that is absolutely necessary to have a strategy, and not just say we want to reach a goal and we are ready for something, but then the story stops. You really need to have a comprehensive strategy. And what many lack is to have a business case and a calculation. What's in digitization for me? What is the outcome? And digitalization doesn't pay out within the first 1 or 2 years. If you think about creating new digital solutions, developing software, changing business models, it takes time. And it's also no secret that it takes money.
Yeah.
And if I start too late, when money is out, taking many companies that are currently in the automotive sector that are under pressure because value chains are changing, and they see digitalization as their strategy out, this might not be 100% correct.
Yeah. A little bit late, as you said.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's always difficult to perform under pressure. And so, yeah, the sooner the better, of course, for the such kind of projects, because the competitors are already doing it. I mean, look at the automotive industry. Tesla is there for years, and even when we were students, we were doing projects comparing German big automotive giants with Tesla, and right now Tesla took them over. So it was not a surprise. It was there 4 years ago, and if you want to digitalize now, it's great that you have started it, but it's might be a bit late. But let's go back to Mittelstand. And one of the questions that I have is, what are the most common obstacles in the German-speaking region for Mittelstand regarding their digital transformation journeys?
Mm-hmm. Well, to take up the example that you just mentioned with Tesla, and to rephrase your question, what's no obstacle is ideas and industry understanding. The German Mittelstand knows his or her industry really well, and they have ideas and they know what they want to achieve by theory. What they are missing, what the obstacles are, on the one hand, it's knowing when to take the first step. Many of them freeze because they say, I don't know whether this is the first step I should take. And this is really bad because you lose time. Yeah. And if you have capacities on your payroll that are there for digitization, they do something, but it's not directed to a certain goal. And the key three obstacles I see on the one hand is how to start, understand your customer, especially now after Corona. Find out what your customers need and how digitization could help you there. Customer demands are changing, industries are changing, talk to them. Really talk to them. Don't do surveys, questionnaires, go there, talk. Do side-alongs, do work-alongs, understand what is changing for them. The second thing is what they're lacking. It's transformational capacities. They build up their company for many years. They're brilliant in what they're doing, but they're not brilliant in changing their entire business model to something else. They're highly efficient and good in what they're doing, but they don't have the capacities, on the one hand, for project managers, for software developers and stuff, to change their business model because they didn't need it for years. Yeah. Many business models and many industries were undisrupted and running well, and now these capacities need to build up. And building up on that, the third challenge that I see is people and culture. And culture in the sense of I can change my business model and my way I'm doing business, but who's doing it? My employees. And they need to be taken along. If they work now with other digital solutions, there needs to be support for them to do that transformation. They have been working 40 years, for example, doing manufacturing hands-on, and now it's changing. Now they have a different job profile. Yeah, it's just the mindset. And last but not least, with the people and resources, it's the networking. Many industry players in Mittelstand have really solid networks in their value chain. People that produce their pre-materials, certain service companies that help them in their current business. But this needs to change because in digitization, you also develop digital products, software. And who's doing that for you? And you really need to decide, is it targeting my core business? Is digitalization going to be a core part of my business? And may I build up an entire digitalization unit, for example? And this is this third part, like, how do I change me and my network that Mittelstand is struggling? Because they were there for 20, 30, 40 years, not changing. It went well, but now they need to change.
Yeah, and especially for German-speaking region. There are companies, Mittelstand, in the market more than half of a century. And the older the company gets, the harder for it to change. And right now, the change and the pressure for the change is there, not only from the market, but from the global conditions, as we know. And as you said, if you don't change your mindset, so it's a people's problem in the beginning, I see. If you don't change your mindset, you won't be successful by just with money. In the first question, as you said, okay, I buy these companies, they make it for me. No, they won't be successful. So so you to summarize, you say that not only the technology part, but the culture and the human part should be also included in the strategy, as well as reassessing the current network, current suppliers, current value chain, not only the supply chain, so that what could be changed can be decided more objectively. That's what I understood from your summary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is especially now with or more or less after Corona, I urge all the decision makers, talk to the people around you what changed, because the speed of change that we experienced in the last 12 months in how people work, how they work digitally, and how their job profile, for example, changed. Take salespeople. They used to be on the road one day to have an appointment for 1 hour. I hear from many salespeople, well, I'm less on the road. The contact is less personal, but in the end, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And they rely on the one hand on more digital infrastructure, but also by doing that, their demands changed. Their personal demands on how they are doing their jobs and how they interact with customers. This just changed. And I just urge everyone, look around you. How did your environment change and how might your company need to react on that?
Yeah, as you said, talk with them.
Absolutely.
Literally, talk with them, talk with your employees. Sales is a great example. And I'm sure if I have asked this question a year ago to a salesperson, a typical Mittelstand salesperson, they would highly likely say, no, I cannot do it online. I need the connection, personal meetings. Yes, at one point we need it, but digital way is also possible and effective, time-saving. You also care for the environment, but by not driving there, for example. So the benefits are way more right now, and people starting to realize those benefits. Therefore, they are more and more into buying in these, let's say, the new way of working. And on the other side, we see that unfortunately, COVID did that. We were pushing it for years and years, but COVID came and did it. So it was a catalyzer, an accelerator for the digital transformation. Eventually, yeah, it did that. And as you said, it changed. A lot of work descriptions changed. And I think it's a great point. So talk with your employees, not like get simple surveys, but really talk and understand, so that you can construct, reshape your way of working in the future. And it is I think when you said talk, I'm thinking about the conversations that I made with digital Mittelstand managers, owners, and my business partners who works very intense with the Mittelstand, and I have this feeling like there is a misconception, misbelief that getting consultancy services for, let's say, digitalization projects cost a fortune. Is that really so?
Well, it depends on which consultancy services you are using for which purpose. As I said before, everybody has to reevaluate their standing networks and their standing business partners. And as a digital consulting firm, you are a really tight business partner to your clients because you're talking usually about changing their core business. And on the one hand, you have to check, are the business partners that I have still the right ones, and choose, for example, a different mix and also a different profile. As I said, my understanding, the Mittelstand is not lacking understanding of their market or of the industry. So they don't need a pure consulting, pure strategy consulting.
Because as you said in the very beginning, they are the hidden champions. They are the market leaders in a lot of points, so that they understand their market and industry very well. It's totally, I agree.
And so you don't really need the pure strategy consulting firms. And you need to know what your purpose and your strategy is. And look who is the right partner to choose and whether they support your business case. And on that way, if you have a clear strategy and a clear business case, and there's consultancy cost in there, and you planned it, or in a certain degree, you planned that it pays off, it does. And on the other hand, for some tasks, as I said, transformational capabilities are not there. You might need a strategy or a consulting firm that supports you building up these capacities. Someone who's not just saying, well, this is your strategy, here are your slides, have fun. Because compared to corporates, there it's possible. They have execution and operationalization resources that take a McKinsey deck and bring it to action. They can just do that because they do it for years. But the Mittelstand, they are not used to it. And there you need to have different strategies and different consulting firms. And compare that, if you take McKinsey to a Mittelstand player, they're just too expensive.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're bad. They're really good in what they're doing. But the Mittelstand, they on the one hand can't realize the result from the slide deck. Yeah. And in the end, there's no positive return on investment.
Yeah. But as far as I understood, it depends definitely, but it doesn't have to cost a fortune.
It certainly doesn't. And from our understanding, a modern digital strategy consulting firm does not just consult. You have to help them build up their resources for the future. Maybe take an interim role for a while to really be a role model on how digitalization might work and coach them. So a traditional consulting, I'm coming, writing a paper, leaving way of doing things does not bring any value to a Mittelstand player.
Yeah, I totally agree. And take the role. It might be short term, it might be a midterm, but be the role model, show them. And this was the missing link between the consultancy services and the execution, especially in the Mittelstand. And companies like BITROAD, as far as I understand, can fill this gap.
Absolutely, and this is what we have. Apart from the three pillars that I talked about, we say that we follow the interim 2.0 approach. So we do on the one hand the consulting, but on the other hand also interim and coaching. So depending on what role is needed, we will fill it in to just bring the ideas to execution and be a role model, not just do slides or maybe do one digital platform project, for example. Build a digital platform, then it's there, have fun. We help them to build sustainable digitalization resources. so that they can do it in the end on their own, and to give them a kickstart.
Yeah. So you train them to do so. It's like you don't run for them, you convert them into runners so that they can run the race by themselves. So if you go with the run example, and yeah, I mean, I think that was needed in the industry, and I'm glad that you are providing such services. But before we close, then what would be your top suggestion for the Mittelstand owners or managers to take away?
Well, in the very beginning, right now, or what I should do right now, as I said, is on the one hand, talk to people, understand what they really need. Talk to your clients, talk to your partners, talk to your people, because their environment and their mindset is changing. And on the other hand, when building digital solutions, build prototypes, test them, and it might sound weird, but in the beginning, do things that do not scale. So do marketing and sales in a way that it might be inefficient for the first few weeks, with the focus on learning about your customer. So do things that do not scale in order to learn, and do the scaling afterwards.
Yeah.
So test your prototype, go to the customer early, understand whether your product fits them, and then go the next step.
Yeah. I think from the, we are doing the business process management side, and there was a great example which matches what your example. It's like once the CEO of I think Telefonica said, if you digitize a shitty process, you will have a digitalized shitty process. First, you need to optimize the process and then digitalize. So that's exactly what you said. Don't scale. Learn what to scale and then scale. So I think it closes up our conversation very well, and I'm so happy that not because we studied in the same university, but our mindsets are aligned, and we see more or less from a very similar perspective. And I'm so happy that you took your time and you were here with us today. And thank you, Lukas. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Chan, for having me, and looking forward to have our friends in Mittelstand to become digital.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully together. All right. Ciao.
Bye-bye.